Guys, I'm very, very excited and privileged to be here today with you guys. We're going to be talking about VO, about voice acting and its role in Halo. I want to do some quick introductions, but I want to do an embarrassing, awkward thing and have you guys introduce yourselves in character as your character. And I think we're going to start with EK, who arguably has the sexiest voice.
I would agree. Yeah. I would agree. I mean, sorry.
My shirt moved when you talked.
Give us your name, but then introduce yourself as your character.
Sure. My name is EK Mahdi, and I am Spartan Jameson Locke.
Ooh, that's going to be hard.
Yeah. Can he introduce me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Hi. Hey, I'm Darren O'Hare, Thomas Lasky.
I'm Steve Downs, Spartan 117, Master Chief. And as a matter of fact, I do need a weapon.
Wow.
No, I really do.
Well, Chicago, it's a rough time.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Hi, I'm Laura Bailey, and I play Spartan Olympia Vale.
say something in Sang Healy. Oh, good. Yeah, good.
I know that expression.
That's their word. That's their word for meh.
Yeah. I'm Travis Willingham, and I play Fred 104, Blue Team Leader.
Oh, yeah. Damn straight.
So we're really here to just have a conversation about VO. It's kind of a superpower that you have all these voices and that you have particularly charismatic and exciting voices to begin with. Do you guys ever abuse it, like when customer service calls and stuff like that? Like, I always think James Earl Jones might like totally abuse it all the time when he calls Comcast to say his cable's out.
I mean, I know when I'm like calling down from a hotel room or something and I need something, I always put on like a lower voice. For some reason, I feel like that's going to get more of a response.
More of a club sandwich.
Yeah, a better club sandwich.
Yeah, I think so. I think
you know,
you're right.
But if
telemarketers.
All right, if telemarketers call,
jam.
then I answer as a little girl.
Like a
almost
tiny
every
little
time.
girl.
Can you creep us out a little by?
Hello?
Oh, hi, little girl. Are your parents home?
I don't know where my parents are.
You don't know where they are?
No, they said they'd be back, but then they haven't come home, and I don't know where.
And then you just kind of fumble with the phone a little bit like a kid.
Knock it on
would.
the thing.
Oh, that got way darker than
Yeah. Wow, I just overpower people. I didn't think of all that. I just get angry, like with telemarketers. It's like, who are you calling? Are you sure you want to talk to him? He's not here.
Yeah, that would be tough. I think they have a rule where they can't hang up on
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
You have to be the one to hang up first.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes talk like this. What are you offering, ma'am? What are we talking about here? Can we negotiate some price?
Darren, do you have any? I mean, Thomas Lasky's too new for you to pull that one.
Right.
on
No, but I think you
random.
guys answer the phone way too much. Like, you got to screen your call.
That's true.
There's that.
That's only if you want to screw with somebody.
Osiris, form up. Everyone ready?
I want to take a step back. Obviously, Steve has been working on the franchise since its inception, and you probably recorded in 2000, but appeared in 2001, right? But EK is brand new to our franchise, but his story is a little bit more complicated because as we hired an actor called Mike Coulter to play Agent Locke for Nightfall, and then obviously become Spartan Locke. And actually, some of our fans have already reacted very positively and strongly to EK stepping into those shoes. How does it feel just stepping into, like, not only a new character, but like a kind of pre-existing real person face?
It's weird because on the one hand, you know, as a voice actor, it's something I feel like I do every day.
Yeah.
You know, coming in and being somebody that I'm not in real life. On the other hand, it's a real person, you know, somebody that people are familiar with and there's a history there and so on. I think the character of Locke is something that I really gelled with immediately. And so as soon as I got there, it was like it all fell together and came out.
We know that people love your voice, but how do you think you're going to deal with fans who are so protective of Master Chief, thinking that you're coming in to steal the limelight or arrest him, technically?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is already happening.
Yeah.
People have been, you know, people love the Master Chief. I love the Master Chief. You know, I am a huge Halo fan and I played every game I know the story in and out. I've even read some of the books, you know, so I definitely sympathize with the fans that have that love for the Master Chief. And I don't want to take away from that. At the same time, you know, I have a job to do. You know? There's something there, you know, and Locke has a very clear directive and things that he has to deal with and understand in the context of not only like his story, but what's going on with Blue Team as well.
Yeah. And I think EK does a fabulous job. It's just unfortunate that it didn't work out for Locke. You know, he just didn't really.
Steve is not spoiling the game. These are lies. And actually, speaking of which, so Laura, you're actually kind of a big gamer yourself. Like, I'm not going to say geek, but kind of.
I'm a geek. You can be
pretty traditionally obsessive, compulsive gamer.
Totally geek.
How was it coming into Halo? Is there any different kinds of pressure versus other jobs? Or?
I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out when
in a good way.
Such a good way. Yeah, I came home after I found out. Yeah, it was a big freak out to know that, you know, I was gonna get to be a Spartan. And growing up on Halo, and you know, my dad is a computer engineer, and that's how I like found my way into gaming, and he's always been a Halo fan. So there's just something about being able to like call home and say, I'm gonna have a face coming out of Spartan here. This is the most epic thing. Yeah. But there's pressure there too, because you definitely want to be able to do a good job. Right. I mean, and I put maybe more pressure on myself for this game than I have in previous projects because it's so important to me. Right.
And there's a little bit of extra pressure on your character because you're a linguist in the game.
Yes.
You're an expert in alien languages and phonetics and all that stuff. Does it matter that that's a part of your character when you're doing it in terms of she's the communicator on the team?
Definitely. I mean, it changes the approach of different lines because she doesn't come at a lot of the problems the same way other Spartans do because she might have a different perspective because she knows so much about other cultures. But it was really hard to speak Sangheili because, you know, they have 4 mouths. And I have 2. And so it's like you have to take that and make it, how would a human say these words? It's different.
And and of course that's a big part of the story. And we were talking to Brian Reed, the lead writer, earlier today about that. And there's elements of the game where individual characters will have slightly different experiences, and those are relayed to the player obviously through VO in a lot of instances. But just to go back to something you said, you went home and you were able to tell people at home. Well, who else was at home and who? Yeah, so Travis and Laura.
I know I just kind of referenced you for that.
Yes. Travis and Laura are married. This is not a secret. But did you
say what?
Yeah. But did you guys find out at the same time that because you were cast as Fred, presumably a different time than the Olympia decision was made?
Were you second?
No, I was first.
Right. Doesn't even matter.
Remember? I was first. Because there was like this big long callback process. It was crazy.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, I remember being so excited, and then because you didn't think you were going to get to do this one because you did Spartan Ops before.
Oh, that's right.
And so you were so excited when you got to come in and do this game as well.
I had a vendetta.
Yeah.
Point to prove.
Well, your character Fred is there's a lot of fans out there who have probably pronounced idea of what Fred sounds like in their head, and you're not going to match that. How is that as an actor when you're coming in to play a part that people are super familiar with, but it's never been expressed in that media before?
I think it's just like you said, you could put that undue pressure on yourself, or you could just go, there's no possible way that you're going to match that. Maybe for a select few, and for them, you're welcome. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking of. But otherwise, you just approach it like you do any other part, do the history, the research on the character, figure out what his relationship is with Chief, and that sort of informs what it's going to sound like, and then it's a collaborative process with everybody.
I haven't seen Chief press himself like this since we were in boot camp.
He's fine, Fred.
This many missions non-stop isn't fun.
You were acting in real scenes with other actors, whereas Steve, I think you've done way more individual booth stuff. You've done stuff with Jen Taylor as Cortana. And the technology is making it easier to be a regular actor, I think, in some ways, because you get to have your little dots on your face and it captures your whole performance. You guys have been doing this long enough to see the technology adapt with that. How is that as performers, just being able to capture the whole thing rather than the sort of isolated voice? Does that change the way you work, or?
Well, it's certainly different. I mean, going back to Combat Evolved, at the time that I went in for the first session, I didn't even know what he looked like. There was not even a rendering of Master Chief, so there was just really a discussion about who he was and you know, that kind of thing. And so, you know, and now, you know, with the way it is now, it's so evolved, and it's so it does change your performance. I think it makes it more real in a sense.
I mean, I've heard that the biggest single change is just being able to act in scene with the other actors, so that you're not like talking to a script or a.
It's so amazing, and it makes such a difference to actually react off of somebody else.
It makes it really entertaining too, because sometimes there are hollow versions of a character, whether it's, you know, Roland or if it's Lasky and we're communicating, and sometimes Darren will be off in the corner, you know, addressing all of us, but we're having to look somewhere else. So he'll start talking, and you'll see one person inevitably go like, "Nope, he's not there. He's over here." So we're always looking in the wrong place.
There's a few takes blown on the first,
Yeah, there's always the magic of the mocap, because we have to put rifles on our backs, and inevitably there's somebody that's not in a suit that's sitting back there, like a little goblin, just waiting to like grab the rifle as you put it behind your back.
Yeah.
Sierra 117 to infinity. Blue team has located Argent Moon. Signs of hostile activity, but she's still here.
For the sessions for Halo 5 was, you know, the first time I could use a mic so that I could move, you know, so even when you're just doing voiceover, you can still be more physical with it than always having to worry about, you know, being in front of the mic which makes it easier to you know, be able to capture, you know, a more real performance, I think.
Yeah.
Makes for good B-roll too, because you're in the soundproof booth and you're like pointing things.
Well, I remember when we recorded that piece that aired a few months ago, where it's basically point of view Master Chief and then point of view Agent Locke. And we recorded those separately. I think we recorded them on the same day, but we were separate. And I always remember that, you know, as you're trying to focus on it, as I'm talking to Locke and EK's not there, there was a Fender Stratocaster in the studio, and he became Agent Locke to me. And by the time we were done with that session, that poor guitar, I you know, thought I had to apologize. Really sorry, man. But
people probably think just as a snapshot view that VO acting is somehow easier than stage or screen acting. And I've found over the years it's the exact opposite, because you have to do so much heavy lifting in a performance because you don't have the visual tools to help support it. Do you guys find it easier or harder?
You know, it's a whole different process.
It's so different.
It's
And
so
that goes
crazy.
to like the mocap part of it too. It just shooting is so different.
It's so different. I feel like mocap is this weird mesh between film work, stage work, and VO work, because without one of those elements, the mocap is not going to come together in the right way.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of film actors that come in that have only done film and they haven't done a lot of VO, and they'll get onto the mocap stage or they'll get in a booth, and film is so amazing at capturing thoughts. You know, if you're in a close-up, any change in your eyes, you'll be able to see what's happening, and that isn't there with, you know, VO obviously, but even mocap, it's not that sensitive. You have to just be, it's got to push through in a different way.
Yeah, and
so it's just a
sometimes
different skill set.
I'll ask like, you know,